Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Fabrizio Romano says 25-year-old Gunner does not want to leave Arsenal. Arsenal star Ben White is next in line for a new contract, and Fabrizio Romano has just shared the latest on the situation. The Gunners have done a remarkable job extending the contracts of their key players Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Aaron Ramsdale, Gabriel Martinelli, and Gabriel Magalhaes have all put pen to paper over the last few months. Now it's White's turn. Arsenal signed Ben White from Brighton and Hove Albion for £50 million in the summer of 2021. The Englishman became the Gunners' most expensive defender of all time, and many eyebrows were raised at his price tag at the time. However, White has been magnificent for Arsenal over the last 3 years. Since the start of last season, he has been up there with the best right backs in the country. White still has 2.5 years left on his Gunners deal, but Arsenal are not willing to take any chances. They want to tie him down to a new contract, and Romano says Edu and co are making progress. He tweeted today, "New round of talks will take place soon for Ben White to discuss a new contract at Arsenal as called on Sunday. Positive feeling as it's advancing. White wants to stay. Arsenal are now under pressure but want to reward Ben with a new long-term deal and also improved salary." For years, Arsenal made a mess of player contracts. The likes of Robin van Persie, Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang could all dictate terms after they were allowed to enter the final year of their deals. Edu has completely changed that at Arsenal now. There are now no risk of players putting the club in a difficult position, which shows that the Gunners have learned from their past mistakes. If White does sign a new deal and extend his stay at Arsenal, it would be a massive boost for the Gunners. Alan Smith says Mikel Arteta is clearly not sure about a 23-year-old Arsenal player. Alan Smith believes that Emile Smith Rowe must now be thinking about leaving Arsenal, admitting that he has gone backwards since bursting into the first team. Smith was speaking on the Seaman Says podcast with the 23-year-old awaiting his first Premier League start for the Gunners since the 21-22 season. Emile Smith Rowe has had a torrid time with Arsenal. Certainly, few Gunners supporters would have anticipated that he will fall out of the fold so drastically over the last 12 months. Unfortunately, he struggled with injury and only made 12 substitute appearances in the Premier League last season, and this campaign has hardly got off to a better start. Smith Rowe has come off the bench on just 2 occasions in the top flight this term. The England international appears to be behind the likes of Kai Havertz and Fabio Vieira in the pecking order. It's a surprise to see him struggling so much, given that he scored 10 league goals in the 21-22 season, and Alan Smith fears that the situation may result in the academy graduate deciding that the time has come to look elsewhere. He said, "There is something about Emile that Arteta's not sure about, and yeah, you are right, him and Saka came through the academy and they were coming up, heading for the start, and then Bukayo's gone like that, and Emile's gone backwards, hasn't he? He must be thinking, probably I need to move if this continues because he is too good." But if you are Arteta, you want to keep that depth of quality in your squad, so he will like to keep him, I'd imagine. He got a run out in the Carabao at Brentford, but he is hardly getting a sniff. There will be so many clubs that would have him. I don't think he is trouble or anything like that. He is a good lad, so yeah, it's just a bit of shame for him how it's gone. There is definitely going to be plenty of interest in Smith Rowe. He is still so young, and he has proven exactly what he can do in the Premier League. Reports from 90 Minutes in the summer claimed that Newcastle United, Chelsea, and Aston Villa were all interested in Smith Rowe, and you can imagine that so many more sides would have been keen if they got a sense that he was available. The January window, however, is still a little while away, and with that, it's too soon to say anything about Smith Rowe's future with any certainty. Kevin Campbell says £30 million Arsenal player should be getting more credit. Arsenal were imperious again at the weekend as they won 4-0 away at Bournemouth. The Gunners hammered the Cherries and there were a number of standout performances on the day. The likes of Bukayo Saka and Ben White were absolutely fantastic, but as ever, Martin Odegaard was one of the very best players on the pitch. The Norwegian was absolutely fantastic on Saturday, and speaking on the Hyper Squad YouTube channel, Kevin Campbell has been giving the midfielder all sorts of praise. The Pundit says that Odegaard actually isn't getting the credit he deserves at the moment, claiming that James Maddison is actually getting more credit than Odegaard is at the moment, which shouldn't be the case. Campbell was full of praise for the Arsenal captain. He said, "We have been saying it for a while now. This kid is special. He is our captain, and the things he can do on the ball, the vision he has, the way he lands the ball, he gives and gets it back. He can change direction of attack. He is just such a clever player. I don't think he gets the props he deserves, and I don't mind that just yet, because believe it or not, others will be speaking about another lad in North London who has played well, but this lad is extra special." Campbell is absolutely right. Odegaard isn't getting the credit he deserves right now. At the moment, the spotlight is firmly on the likes of James Maddison and Dominic Szoboszlai when we speak about midfielders in the Premier League, but Odegaard is doing it just as well as those two. Of course, new signings are always going to get a greater share of the limelight, but in our view, Odegaard's brilliance shouldn't be forgotten either. The £30 million man is a spectacular talent who deserves all of the credit in the world. Kevin Campbell says 24-year-old Arsenal star was so much better and win than many realize. Kevin Campbell insisted that he was really impressed by Kai Havertz during Arsenal's win over Bournemouth on Saturday, claiming that a lot of the work that the German does goes unnoticed. Campbell was speaking on Highbury Squad after Mikel Arteta's side took the 3 points with an emphatic 4-0 win at the Vitality Stadium. There has been so much said about Kai Havertz since his move to the Emirates in the summer. Signing the 24-year-old appeared to be a huge gamble from the Gunners, given that he never lived up to expectations at Stamford Bridge. Havertz failed to find the back of the net in his first few appearances, and he did drop out of the starting lineup at one stage after what appeared to be a difficult start. With that in mind, Havertz was handed Arsenal's second penalty of the afternoon at the weekend, and the attacking midfielder made the most of the chance, finding the bottom corner to bag his first goal for Arsenal. There has been some criticism directed at the Gunners. Speaking to ESPN, Steve Nicol suggested that it was unprofessional for Arsenal to hand Havertz the penalty, but Kevin Campbell thinks Havertz actually deserves a lot more credit for his performance on the day, with the summer signing working so hard off the ball. He said, "I thought he had a really good game as well. Listen, we all want this guy to do well. He does a lot of work in the shadows, and do you know what? A lot of the graft that he does goes unnoticed, but he does graft a lot for the team, and I know sometimes the stats lie, but you look at his stats, and his stats are very good up and down the pitch. I will tell you what I have noticed. He was putting tackles in. He was putting himself about as well. He is one of those players. He just keeps the ball moving, nice and simple." Martin Keon says 22-year-old Arsenal player is tough as steel. Arsenal legend Martin Keon has demanded more protection for Bukayo Saka. The 22-year-old Englishman suffered knocks in each of his last two games. He was in serious pain on both occasions, and that sight struck fear in Arsenal fans' hearts. Just last month, Arsenal's Bukayo Saka broke Paul Merson's 26-year-old record by playing in 83 consecutive Premier League games. That is an outstanding achievement for a 22-year-old, especially considering how many times he gets kicked by his opponents every game. Keon, who knows a thing or two about kicking players, has urged the referees to protect Saka after seeing the Englishman limp off the pitch in the last two Premier League games. However, the Arsenal legend believes Mikel Arteta is right to continue to start Saka because he is really tough and always recovers from his injuries very quickly, Keon told Eurosport. I think you have got to play him. The thing is, he needs more protection. Everybody tries to get tied to him. Everyone's leaving a bit on him. This guy is tough as a steel. He is not one of them that will fall over. So whenever I see him go down, I know it's something real. He is one of those players that we have to protect, obviously, from an England point of view, from an Arsenal point of view. But he is the player that is targeted. The manager, I am sure, will, whenever the team is ahead, try and get him off. I just feel that he is one of those where you have got to try to read the scripts, where you can get in front and get him off sometimes. Arsenal have plenty of players who can play on the right wing, but none of their options are like for like replacement for Bukayo Saka. Arsenal only ruled out until next year after Derby win. He may require surgery. Kieran Tierney's time away from Arsenal on loan has taken a negative turn after picking up an injury this week, and a report from Team Talk has shared more details on what sounds like a serious setback for the Scottish defender. After a summer of wondering where he would be playing his football this season, Kieran Tierney finally departed the Emirates days before the transfer window closed. Mikel Arteta appeared to be sending mixed messages as he insisted that he wanted Tierney to stay and then left him out of matchday squads. Tierney faced additional competition for his place in the side when Jurriën Timber was signed from Ajax and Takehiro Tomiyasu was shifted to left back. A loan move looked to make sense for the 26-year-old, especially ahead of Scotland almost certainly qualifying for the European Championships next summer. Real Sociedad was the perfect destination too, as Tierney has slotted straight into the team at left back and he will still be playing Champions League football. However, injury after injury have scuppered Tierney's Arsenal career, and that looks set to be the case again this season. He is now expected to be out until next year, and things could get even worse for the fullback. The report from Team Talk suggests that Tierney faces up to 3 out with a hamstring issue. An initial scan has already ruled him out until next year, and all rehab options are currently being considered. Alan Smith would love to see Arsenal sign £80 million star who could take them to next level. Alan Smith has suggested that he believes that Ivan Toney would be a great signing for Arsenal, as he would offer something completely different to both Gabriel Jesus and Edin Ketia. Smith was speaking on the Seaman Says podcast about the Brentford star amid reports that Mikel Arteta is interested in bringing him to the Emirates in January. Ivan Toney continues to be heavily linked with a move away from the Bees, despite not kicking a ball so far this season. Of course, the England international is currently serving a suspension for breaching betting guidelines. Had he not been suspended, there is surely a very good chance that he would have already moved by now. The 27-year-old scored 20 Premier League goals last season. Reports from the Daily Mail have suggested that Arsenal want Toney in January. Meanwhile, the Times have claimed that Brentford could let him leave for around £80 million in the winter. Alan Smith was asked whether he would want Toney at Arsenal, and he insisted that he could be a game changer for the Gunners. He said, I do. I think he would fit in. Obviously, he is a different sort of striker to Jesus and Nketiah. 20 league goals for Brentford last season. I know penalties were involved, but yeah, there is a lot of improvement within the player to come from him. I think that would be a great acquisition, and it might just be the missing link that takes the team onto the next level. I think he'd go down a storm. Much may depend on what kind of money Arsenal have to spend in January if they want to bring Toney. The Gunners have invested a lot in their squad over the last couple of years, and clearly Toney is not going to come cheap. But if Arsenal are right in the middle of a title race in the winter, they are surely going to be prepared to push the boat out. Gabriel Jesus has been an outstanding signing for Arsenal. It was a statement of intent to bring him in from Manchester City. However, Jesus and Edin Kataya have just 3 league goals between them so far this season. They have not been overly wasteful, but neither has scored 15 goals in a single Premier League campaign, let alone 20. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.